on this computer.
Okay.
Okay, all right. So officially, we have Andrea here with us today on the Millionaire by Morning Show. She is the CEO of Love. We want to discuss today how we're not taught how to be in a healthy relationship. Why we start out with good intentions, but later sabotage a good connection. And wrong expectations of what our partner will provide us. On Andrea's mission is to discover what love truly is and teach others to love, starting with themselves, in turn, finding true connection and peace. Andrea, I would like to welcome you to the Millionaire by Morning Show this afternoon. And like I said earlier, I really want to jump right into this conversation because, as you
That's
mentioned,
it.
there's a lot of people out there that wants to know what you have.
And it's getting worse. And I can talk more about that as well. Well, and thank you, Rashad, for having me on the show. And it's something that I love talking about love. So, um, yes. What? Yes. So, what do you want to know about love?
So, um, well, let's get into what brought you there to be the CEO of Love, to be a coach dealing with people's hearts. Where did that all begin?
Um, Becoming a human, being born on the earth. I had a rough childhood, and I was a very sensitive child. So I knew that whatever I was experiencing wasn't love. So in my search to find what love really was, and knowing in my heart that love really is the only true power. Um, I've had going into it and loving people, wanting to help people. I've always had a really big heart. And then I went into psychotherapy. And do you know the number one reason why people come to therapy? It
Oh, can I guess?
You can guess.
Is it because they feel that they're not being loved?
Close. It's usually problems with relationships,
Okay.
even if it's not as a couple, but individually. After divorce, after a breakup, it really shakes us to the core. And I believe those are the moments that we can learn more about love than any other moment, is when we really get our heart broken. Because that's a real motivator to make positive change. Yes. So,
That's a motivator for on both sides of the coin, right?
yes.
For the people seeking love, for the people who don't have it or is without it.
Hmm.
So, with your expertise and all of your knowledge and training skill set, how did you wrap all of that into your coaching program?
Oh, because I'm such a curious and unsatiable learner. I love to learn, and I just kind of followed my intuition on it, and finding alternative ways of healing. Creating a more spiritual life, having more peace, and and discovering that love was the key to all of it. It's that love is the key. So I don't necessarily use all my tools with everybody, but I have them in my back pocket if I need them. So I do see a lot of people with trauma. So um, more and more people are showing up, unfortunately, with childhood and relational trauma.
Yeah.
So that, I'm finding that is one of the biggest blocks to love, not having it in your childhood.
that's where I wanted to channel the next question.
Okay.
Because you mentioned that a lot of people don't know what love is, basically.
No,
Didn't come from it, don't know what it looks like, don't know how to accept it a lot of the times.
a lot of times.
And so how do you deal with that? Or when you find that, what's your way of dealing with it?
Well, opening up and finding some patterns that go on, because even though we often like to blame our exes for the demise of our relationship, I always say we always have a part. It takes two to tango. So I kind of start there. I look at where the patterns are um, in the relationships. I look outside of the romantic relationship as well. I look like what kind of quality of friendships do they have, or and what the relationship is like with their family. It's not just about the romance that's all we think we have. If we just find the one, then our life is going to be perfect. So it's looking, it's looking at the qualities of that and then finding out where people have blind spots, the obstacles to that they find they're coming up. Either they say, I have a bad picker, that they pick the wrong person over and over. So that usually means there's unconscious obstacles or, sometimes trauma in there that they're recreating from their childhood. So, gathering lots of information about that. And then uh, I teach a lot of social skills too. And the number one thing is I teach people how to listen. And we all think we know how to listen, but actually, when we really try, we're only picking up 50% of what we hear. And that's on a really, really good day. But oftentimes, we're up in our head ready to respond.
Mostly wanting to respond. Yeah. Now I know all about that. I know
Yes,
all about that.
yes. And we're not taught that. Like as children, be seen and not heard, or do what we tell you to do, and instead of like having our own our own way of developing and finding ourselves. It's kind of like we're told this is how it is, this is how we expect you to be, and we're molded, and then unconsciously we pick up on the adult relationships around us, even though we say I'm never going to be like my mother, or I'm never going to be like my father, or my aunt or my grandparents. That we 0 to 7 especially, we pick up and we embody those rules or those roles that we've been exposed to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So your thing is working from the inside out instead of going out, being a picker, being a chooser. Work on yourself first.
Yes. You ever hear the saying, you can't love anybody else until you love yourself?
Yeah.
But people don't know what that is either. They're like, well, I take salt baths every once in a while, but I took a walk the other day. Now, it's about really getting in there and really looking at the things that, that get in our way. And you said something about not opening our hearts being, and we I don't think people realize that their hearts are closed, and they're expecting to go out and have somebody love them and then they'll open their heart. But
Right.
you can't attract that in if your heart's not open either. So you're going to attract somebody who has is just as emotionally closed as you. So you're right. It's not do this, say this. Here I got the blueprint. You go out, you wear this, and actually, red is a good color to wear on a date, by the way. Um, uh,
So you
but
break it down
where
all the way to color?
Yeah, yes, I body language, color. Yes, there's I'm an art therapist too, so I
Okay. Okay.
I know a lot about color psychology. So, but red is, if you think about it, it's passion. It's an intense color. But
Awesome.
yes, we have to start in the inside. And it's not like, okay, look in the mirror every day and say, I love you 15 times. It's, you got to get to the yucky stuff before we get to the good stuff, too.
Definitely. Self-worth is so important.
Yes.
I had a guest on this show once, and I just remembered this. I will always remember it, and I bring it up now. What she said was, if a person has someone over to their house and they make toast for the person and burn the toast, 9 times out of 10, they're not going to eat that toast. They're going to throw that toast away because they don't want to serve it to their guests. However, if we make toast for ourselves, we might eat the burned toast. We might scrape the burned part off and do with the burned toast. We wouldn't give it to a guest, but we'll give it to ourselves. And she was saying that's where you have to have the same respect for yourself as you do guests or others. Love yourself first.
We're not taught that. We're taught to sacrifice ourselves. We're taught to lower our expectations of others, but give more of ourselves. And if you think about it, it's like having a cup that you want filled up, but it has holes in it. If you don't fill your own holes, you're never going to hold that. And if you don't love yourself, you're really not giving love. It's oftentimes too, you're trying to get something. You're trying to control the situation. So you get the love feelings.
The love
But
feelings.
yes.
With you saying that, a thought popped in my head. Do you believe that Hollywood and movies and music plays a big part of what people think love is, as
Yes, and
opposed to
now,
what it
yep,
truly
and
is?
now social media.
Social
Yes.
media, yeah.
Of course, and I say this. I have a podcast as well. It's called the Love Anarchy Podcast, and I did a episode on there where I kind of talk about it. I'm like, they show you all, the dopamine and oxycodone, the chemicals that are produced, and then they get married and live happily ever after. Or it's drama and it's just conflict for entertainment. So
Right.
they don't like have people working it out. It just kind of happens just by magic, and that's not how things work. And yes, and think about all the love songs. And I'll age myself in the 70s. They wrote so many, the men, a lot of mushy, mushy, mushy love songs. And I'm thinking, this relationship thing is going to be easy. Men are suckers. So, and I realized, oh, it's more complex than I did think. So,
Yeah, yeah.
uh-huh.
Like he's not going to be outside of my window serenading when he makes a mistake. It's different. It looks different than that.
Yes, exactly. It's like, and we expect that of our partners, and and unfortunately, people out there dating are acting a lot of times. A lot of people don't even know themselves though.
Yeah,
So they take on, they'll take some advice that they get on social media, or they'll act like an actor, and people think that's how it should be. That's how
right.
relationships, are. And even if we know we're being entertained, the repetition of the stories and the themes get stored up in our brain.
Yeah.
And especially if we don't have any other really good role models for relationships.
With that being said, there's a topic that ruffles feathers a lot.
Okay. Okay.
Um, Divorce. what would you say? Because when you say we have to have something to look at, our mindset, everything comes from something. We're learning as we go, what we see, what we experience. So let's say one person had a divorce, or parents was divorced,
Mhm.
and can they attract a person that wants a stable relationship whose parents were together for never divorce?
Is you mean do we have a better chance? I think that's debatable because I've seen people. I think it depends. Like, are you willing to do the work? Are you willing to look? Are you willing to take the risks in doing that? And I know some people are on one side and some people are on the other. Like, they watch their parents get divorced and they're never going to get divorced, especially the Z's and the younger millennials. They're like no way, we watched you all suffer and we suffered because of it. So
Yeah,
especially the younger generations right now, they're like, yeah, it's outdated. And it needs to be totally torn apart and retaught.
yeah, yeah. I believe that. And as far as marriage is concerned, one thing that I've noticed is it is kind of based on where we're at in society. So previously, you had people that stayed together and was married and had 10 kids because they needed people to form.
Yes.
Then you
That
moved on and you had people that had to stay together because they needed jobs and needed to afford the American dream. So here go, you know, 4 children or a boy and a girl. Now it's independence. Now you can kind of it's a little bit more equal, so everyone can have their own and just basically survive on what they think is love.
Yes. Or yeah, or have short-term relationships. That's all,
Yeah.
all honeymoon phase, or yes, and there's several reasons for that. You're right. Survival was the reason why people got married. And I think of it as the lower, like the more basic needs, like a roof over your head, somebody to cook and somebody, and a lot of that is done for us now. Also, in the 60s, the women's rights movement, birth control came in. That that was huge too. And women are the ones who usually are the ones who ask for the divorce most of the time. Man may have checked out already, but it's usually the woman who does. So, and like women, there's more women in college right now, and they're getting more of the scholarships. And they're like, why would I want, to settle? And why would I want to give up what I've worked hard for? So things are changing a lot. It's unfortunate, but the loneliest now expanding single population is the males in their 20s.
Why do you think that is?
I, Social media, and like I don't think, and then working from home.
Yeah.
Yeah, people don't know how to socialize. It's like sometimes when I'm coaching, um, even millennial men, like go out and they're like, well, how do I meet a woman? And I'm like, why don't you just start about making connections in general?
Right.
Like, why do you have to like laser focus? Like, they don't talk to anybody, but then, they see somebody they're attracted to like once every 6 months, and then they don't know what to do because
Right.
they don't have any practice. I'm like, why don't you just go out and make connections in general? Because even if you find the one, you can see I'm joking about that. Even if you find that person, they can't be your end all be all and give you everything and make and complete you.
Yeah. 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 It's different. Oh man, it's different. I never would have thought it'd have been young men in their 20s that's like having this problem because
Yeah.
um And like you say, also social media and the apps and the what did you say? You called it the honeymoon phase.
Yes.
You know, as soon as it's over with, they don't know how to deal after that.
But people are getting dopamine by just swiping on the dating apps. And I think a lot of people are just happy doing that.
Yeah,
Or
yeah,
just text or just having a textual relationship with somebody.
right,
Because it's like you get a little bit of dopamine, you're not getting the whole honeymoon phase or and you're not getting the benefits the health and the well-being benefits of being around in person with people, but you're getting a little bit of dopamine.
wow, that's some strong stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Dopamine is some strong stuff. I never would have thought that that would replace, you know, puberty for the most part. Um, I wanted to ask you. Oh, you mentioned the millennials. What age group do you work with? What's your demographic?
Oh, I do. I don't see a whole lot of Z's, but I see probably younger millennials through. I see people. Have you heard the term gray divorce?
No.
Um, Now people are living longer, so there's a lot of like seniors who are getting
Okay.
divorced now too. So I see people, pretty much all ages. And I do see some Z's too. And That's kind of how I found out about the men and as well as the studies.
Right.
But yeah, it's and then look, they're having people are dating AIs.
Oh my God. You're right. You're right.
And you're pretty much dating, like I'm holding my phone up, you are dating your phone if you're just on the apps. And the apps know how to get you to create dopamine so you stay on them. I remember back in the day, people used to get on and say, "Oh, I met people and the dating apps wanted you to meet somebody." They don't now. The algorithms want to keep you on there.
What? Oh no, I didn't know
Yes.
that. But that makes
Oh,
sense. That makes sense because of that's the algorithms for the other um Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. They want you on there all day. So the dating apps are doing that as well?
yep. Yep. They used to tout that look at all the couples. If you see, it's not advertised as much. And you talked about independence, and often the ads you'll see that lone person. Like, oh, date, it's not a couple together. It's like, a hot girl, a hot guy. It's totally different. They're playing on our subconscious
Yeah.
and doing that. And when we have so many choices, like in online dating, we won't choose. That's how our brain works. Like,
Wow.
imagine going to a restaurant and having pages of pages and watching all the good food go by. And how do you decide? If you have too many choices, our brain can't do
I,
that.
I want to speak on that because
Yeah.
I'm going to speak on it from another perspective.
Yes.
And forgive me for what I'm about to say.
Okay.
When I'm scrolling Instagram, Facebook, TikTok don't allow it. Twitter, X, formerly known as Twitter,
Mm-hmm.
all you see now is naked women. And it's getting to the point where I'm seeing men complain about it. Like, put some clothes on.
I'm sorry. It is like I think women are beautiful, and I was an art major, and I did figure drawing, but it's not. It's gross. It's like it's and even like I like jump on some spiritual dating sites to give advice. Sometimes I'll post some like cool stuff, but even on there, there's just naked women, and it's like I get it. They can be spiritual even if they're naked, but I'm just like like for me, I'm for men too. I've seen men post on there and just say put some clothes on, have some self-respect,
Yeah. It's a lot of
yeah.
that. I know that it's a lot of that turning men off because it's a lot of what you just said. It's like it's overwhelming. You can't choose. You don't choose because it's like just in your face at all times. So of course, if a young man is out at the gas station and he does see a woman, he has nothing that is kind of mysterious about her or anything. He can just swipe his phone and just see a woman without clothes on. Just simple as that. Even
Yeah.
at the
So why buy her dinner?
right, exactly, exactly. Why buy her dinner when you can just see someone with just take their clothes off? Even at the award shows and even at the public places now. It's like, and I don't want to date myself, but I guess I'm from old school, but I could see how the younger generation, X and the millennials, they are just not X, I'm X, Z and the
Z.
millennials. I could see how they don't want to be bothered. Like you say, why should I buy her dinner?
Exactly. It's like there is no mystery. There's no, and we can go on and talk about porn too, how
Yeah.
readily available porn is. And that how many men, X's and Z's, have erectile dysfunction when they're young and they like intimacy is gone.
Yeah. Intimacy
It's
is
like
gone.
that like you said, the mystery, the intimacy, I often tell my clients it's all about the slow burn. Get to know somebody. It takes a long time to really get to know somebody. And oftentimes go out dating, oh, he's gorgeous, he checks all these boxes and stuff like that, and people create a fantasy about who the person is.
Right.
And
Right.
then down the line they're like, you changed, or it's like, no, they're just not matching up to the fantasy, and you're
Yeah.
not giving, you got to give it time. And that's
Yeah.
why I say slow burn. And I say the same thing with sex too. Take your time with it. And because that can really disrupt the progress of true intimacy and conscious connection too.
Good luck teaching that to Generation X and the younger millennials. Z, I'm sorry, Generation Z. Because like that's their experience. We speak on experience, we speak on knowledge, but that is where they are learning it from. And it's oh man, the future. It'll be different. It'll be different, I tell you that much.
Well, and it already is. And yes, and I think of one millennial, little younger millennial, and he was saying, this is how we go to a party, we hook up, and we decide if the sex is good first. And by the way, they don't often wear condoms anymore. Like with us Xers, we were, with
Yeah,
AIDS and all that.
right.
They don't wear protection, and then they say, okay, sex was good, and then I'm going to see if I like her.
See if
I'm
I'll
like,
see her again.
right. I'm like, what?
You know what? You know what? You just put something into perspective as far as condoms and protection goes. I call it the microwave generation. They want everything right now. And there really is no need with the like you said, Generation X went through the AIDS epidemic. So of course it was ingrained in our minds. But with the younger generation, the girl can just take a Plan B pill if she
Right.
the next day. Um, they even for AIDS, like they have medicine for that now. They don't have anything to fear. They have no fear.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that. It just like, was it Magic Johnson had AIDS?
Yeah,
Was it? Yeah. And how we kind of watched him, and he had a lot of money, so he was able to get the medication at the
right.
time. It still is expensive, but it's not impossible like it was back in the day. And I didn't even think of it that way either. They don't have consequences, and the STDs went down because of our X generation,
Exactly.
we were, it was scary. I mean, we could die, could die.
Yeah.
It's, we took it seriously. And so STDs, AIDS went down, and then I was so surprised when I heard that the younger generations aren't. I'm noticing the Z's. There's a little mix there. There's
Yeah.
some Z's who are kind of, you know, a little more loose. I'm thinking of one in. Uh, I overheard a girl talk about it. She's like, "Oh, I just bought all the Plan B pills and I just sucked them away in my drawer."
Oh, that's so hard to hear. It's because I'm a parent or what? But like that's terrible. That's horrible. And also what was it? The summer of love back in the I think 70s, the hippies. I think we're back at a time comparable to that mirrors that. And the young women are just as promiscuous as the young men.
Mm-hmm.
And that kind of blows my mind because I'm just not used to that. But
No. And
that's where we're at.
it was different for us. And I believe like in the 60s they didn't have a lot of consequences, and like I said, that was the introduction of birth control for women. So it was like woohoo. And then STDs started rearing the head, and then AIDS, and and probably us Xers had such a different experience than either the baby boomers who were into free love and all that stuff too, and they didn't have consequences until we did. And
Right.
yeah. And it's unfortunate because these are things, and I don't know, like I was very young during the Woodstock generation and stuff like that. So um I had a feeling that there was more conscious love there than there is now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just the vibe of it.
Right. Well, that was the name of it, was love. That's not that's not the name anymore. They don't even use that term.
Wow, I know.
these these youngsters. But like you say, love is it's in us. It's in us. It's a magnet. It's something that we all have. It's something that we all need. If I guess if humans are not loving each other, they're going to have to love something. So we all deserve to learn how to do that.
But people love money more
Yeah,
than people. What if we valued our relationship as much as we value the almighty dollar?
I wish that would be
Yeah,
awesome.
it would change the world.
Yeah, yeah, it definitely would. That's a good point. That is a
Yeah,
good point.
yeah. And
Um,
and and really, I look at wealth is in the quality of your relationships. I believe you are the most wealthy. Harvard did a study that I have the information here that started in 1938, and it was called the Harvard Happiness Study. I think it's still going on. Um, but they they've been testing people, and obviously in 1938 they didn't have all the equipment that they have now, but they wanted to find out what truly made us happy and healthy. And they found it was the quality of our relationships.
oh yeah, definitely. I see. So Instagram, a lot of it is fake. The social media, a lot of it is fake, but there are a lot of people making a lot of money right now. And you get to see them kind of live out their lives. And one thing about money is at some point, the happiness of having it is not what it's supposed to be meant to do. Um, which, of course, money gives you power, money gives you access. Now, those things, now you can take your family to the front of the line at Disneyland, with a certain amount of money. You can do that. Or you can close the park down with another certain type of money, and it just be you and your family. However, it's the relationships that matter. It ain't you being at Disney World alone with all of this bag of money. And you see that through, even though the people on Instagram and, they're flashing their wealth and whatnot. And I'll take it a bit further. I'll take it a bit further. We're watching history being made right now. Donald Trump, the most powerful man in the world, in a sense, is sitting in court by himself right now, as opposed to having family and friends. So my thing is, which one would make you happier? Like, you do have power, but you really don't have anyone that's really truly there for you and caring for you.
And if you have all that money, are people around you because you have money? Or are people around you because they love you? And Donald Trump buys people.
Yeah.
Where's the first lady? Have you seen her around?
No, not in support. Not in support of what he's going through. Maybe when he's back, if he's back in the White Office, maybe if he's back in power, maybe you will see her around. But until then, no, there's no love there.
I know.
And the thing about that is, I guess you really have to either, there's people out here who can shut that off in their mind, in their heart, and just 100% be in love with power, I guess, or 100% be in love with money. But at the end of the day, I think normal people, I'll just leave it at normal, I think would rather have, the friends and the family aspect.
I don't, and that is the sad part, is that we're not taught how to maintain our relationships, or even, the families are being spread apart. People live farther away from one another. That family center isn't as close either. Yep.
Yeah.
And I'm like, it's like, yeah, and what are we teaching our kids about the world? And are they really listening to parents right now, or are they being bombarded with social media?
Social media, and I would like to say social media, just society right now. Social media, the schools. I know within our community, within the Black community, we all agree, like it's a consensus that we do not, our kids don't even know each other. Like the way that we grew up, our children, my best friends that I grew up with, our children don't know each other, don't hang around with each other. And we were never like that, and pretty much said that we would never be, apart. My cousins, I don't get to see a lot of their children. And that's really so sad, but I don't know what went wrong, but the whole entire love aspect has dispersed. And like you say, everyone is working so hard, 10, 12, 16 hours a day. People moving.
Well, and then it's like me, not what I want, not like, let's reach out and see how my cousin's doing, or let's get the kid. It's like, what do I want? Me. Instead of thinking, and I say this a lot to clients. I'm like, you wanna have a better day? Go help somebody else out.
Yeah.
Get out of your own head and your wants and your needs, because all this automation makes us just sit around and think all the time, when we used to do a lot more. Like when we were farmers, we would do a lot and we wouldn't have time to think. And now we just think about like the things that we don't have, the things that we want, the things that we want to do. Where am I going to get the next hit of dopamine? And it's always feel good.
Yeah.
Like, and it is instantaneous. Pick up your phone, pick up, we didn't,
Yeah.
and in the past we had to work for it and we could delay gratification
Right.
too.
Right. It's the microwave generation.
Yes.
It's instant gratification. I say it all the time.
Yep.
Andrea, where this is awesome. This is an awesome conversation. Anyone that watches this on YouTube, anyone that sees this or hears it on the podcast, I want them to be able to get in touch with you. What is
Yes.
the best way to do that?
You can find me on social media. Instagram, I'm Drea Atherton, and then on Facebook, Andrea Atherton 17. And my website is andreaatherton.com. And then also, you can listen free to my Love Anarchy podcast on there. You can find my podcast on any of the apps out there as well.
Okay, awesome. As you were speaking about your podcast, I have a guest that I'm bringing on my podcast. I think she would be perfect for yours as well.
Oh,
I could
pass
make
it
an
along.
introduction. Okay.
That'd be great. I'd appreciate that.
Okay. Okay. Awesome. Well, Andrea, I want to thank you for stopping by the show today, the Millionaire by Morning podcast. This was awesome. Never had anyone on here speaking about love. And you answered a lot of questions that I know a lot of people want to
Good.
hear. And I want to thank you for all of your knowledge and expertise.
I appreciate that. Thank you so much for having me on. It's been a pleasure. I've really enjoyed your energy and all your questions too.
Awesome. Awesome. That is so awesome. Okay, I'm going to bid you good night. And I also want to wish you much success at everything you do from here on
Namaste.
out. All right. Good night.